Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me this morning in my stream. Alright, give me a second as I double check the audio, make sure everything's working well, and then we'll get started. Okay. You might hear double audio for a second. Get started. As I try to see if this is playing well in Twitch. Okay. You might hear double audio for a second. Yeah, started. Cool. Working. Alright, I'm trying to use this new Restream.io chat app. So if you guys have any questions and you type it in the Twitch or Facebook, I should be able to reply to you directly. If that doesn't work out, I'm also monitoring the Twitch comment board, so just send any questions or messages you have and I should be able to hear them. Okay, so I wanted to pick up where I left off last week, but let me do my usual quick intro. Whoop. Okay. My name is Aiman Akhtar. I'm a 3D artist based in Los Angeles, and for the past 4 or so years I've been doing a lot of 3D printing. So you can check out more of my work online here at aiman3d.com. And you can see I've been doing a lot of big prints, small prints, costume prints, print assemblies. So this name of the stream, it's 3D printing ideas to reality. And this year I want it to be about taking quick projects, you know, doing a sculpt in ZBrush, live streaming, and then printing it the same week. So aiman3d.com is me. You can follow me at Aiman Akhtar on Facebook. I'm also on Aiman Akhtar 3D on Instagram, where you can check out my latest adventures and keep up with what I'm up to. Yesterday all day I was at Pasadena Comic-Con, so that was cool. I think there's a second photo in here. I don't really know how to access. But my latest obsession, which has been keeping me busy this year, is Fungusaurs. That's fungusaurs.com. And it's my own independent toy line that I've been prototyping and printing and mass producing now. These are little dinosaur mushroom hybrids. And I take them around the world with me everywhere I go. Take some photos of them. So you can follow fungusaurs.com on Instagram as well. That's where it is. Pasadena Comic-Con yesterday all day with the Fungusaurs. So in the ZBrush live stream, I'll usually talk about my Fungusaurs, career stuff, and whatever idea I want to take from 3D digital to 3D print this week. Alright, let's get this up out of the way. Last week I started on a Punisher character. So this is kind of what I mocked up last week. A couple hours, not bad, less than a couple hours, to sculpt the likeness of John Barenthal, starting from a default head here. That ships in ZBrush. So I turned it into John, and then I merged all the pieces so that all of the 3 layers of the eyes, the little tear duct, and the body, or the head, were all put together in the same mesh and then dynameshed. You can see even after the color is gone, there's still a good bit of unique silhouette that makes it feel like John Barenthal. Barenthal, I don't know. So I wanted to take this project a step further before I printed it, and I've been wanting to try something for a little bit now that a friend of mine, Margaret Dost, has done before. I've seen her print in Formlabs 2 clear, and she did this really cool thing where she printed a solid clear mesh, but she subtracted a skeleton from inside the model. So I wanted to try to do that, and it seemed fitting with the Punisher character to have kind of a skeleton hollow shadow on the inside of this. So this is the first test. Not going to work ever in the first test, but wanted to try. So I opened up this skeleton model that ships in ZBrush, Ryan Kingsley and Anatomy Tools model, or Anatomy model. You can find that under Lightbox, under Tool, and there's Ryan Kingsley skeleton. So I pinned that on to my character, lowered it in place, so it's like right on top of the character. And you can see that when you do transparency mode. Just moved it forward a little bit so it made sure it wasn't interpenetrating out or anything like that. So there's basically what I did with it. So there's the Ryan's model, and I cut some pieces off, like the lower body. I didn't need that, so I just got rid of it. Dynameshed it, smoothed it, merged all the teeth basically by just inflating, and then Dynamesh took care of that. Because I didn't want any gaps like this, you know? I wanted it to be 3D printable, and in 3D printing, the smoother, cleaner your inside, the better. So smoothed all of that, connected all of this spine back stuff because I just wanted it to be a smooth, you know, ventilation hole on the inside there. You know, even merged all of that bottom. And what that leaves us with, let's see, turn that off. Turn off transparency too. So skeleton is creating a bunch of ventilation holes at the bottom, and so it'll just drain out through there. I set this to be a cutter, and then I booleaned it out of my head. So I took the head, booleaned this mesh out, and that left me with this character right here. So if we take a look at what's going on inside, and I turn on my display double, you can see he's got the skeleton kind of just subtracted out all the way to the clavicle. So I left a good amount of space between the border edges. I mean, in reality, the nose is like, the bone would have been right there up against the edge of the skin. Same with the teeth, it'd be a lot closer to the edge. Same with the forehead. Your bone is pretty much right at the skin level. But I wanted there to be a little bit of thickness so that it prints safely. But basically now I've got this model that is Dynameshed, decimated, exported for print, and then I loaded it up in Preform. That's Formlabs print prep software for that printer right there, the stereolithography printer in resin. And let me pull that up. Alright. So this is Preform now. So ZBrush has a button for this. Once you've got your model figured out, you can go under 3D Print Hub, update size ratios, and then set your height or width or whatever the largest dimension you want to set is. And in this case, I wanted to set the width to 4 inches, and then you can just click Send to Preform. Usually it helps if under the export options you switch it from all to selected. I don't know why ZBrush does it this way. They should have it on selected by default, and then you have to click all. I have to change this every single time. But basically, set it to selected, click export to STL, or send to Preform directly, and then it gets sent here. And I oriented it facing angled up a little bit because that's just a better way of printing for stereolithography, building from a small to a large, so it's well supported. And we can see what's happening inside when we slice it. So this is going to be a solid print, meaning that there's really no hollowing except for the skeleton pieces that get pulled out. Now in an ideal world, I wouldn't want these supports in there at all. I think it would look much cooler if it didn't have supports on the inside. And I may try to do this print again without internal supports, but at this orientation, the top of the head would have failed. I know that already. I think that maybe if I orient it completely upside down on its head, then I may not need internal supports. But I'm still looking forward to seeing how this is going to look because internal supports are no. I'm looking forward to a cool result when this is finished printing. So that's what's going on in the background right now. It's still printing, and it's got, I think about, let's see, what did it say? 51 minutes left on it. So during the stream, this print should be done, and I'll take it out of the printer and I'll show it to you guys, and we'll take a look at it, how we'll quickly clean up the supports and take a look at how this furniture turned out, and then maybe run another print. But for now, I wanted to switch to a different project that I wanted to get on today. Let's see here. Whoop. Zoom out. And this one I began already a bit last year, I want to say. This is a project for a friend of mine. Let's see. Look up some more details. Alright, so the artist's name is Craig Cartwright, and he wants to have a 3D printed character and ready in time for Toy Fair, so I've got a couple of weeks to get it done, as big as I can. But let me show you Craig's concept, because it's pretty cool and cute. Alright, there we go. Excuse me. Alright, so Craig's concept is called GrowBot, and this is his own IP that he's developing, and I'm helping him out with the print prep and, you know, getting it ready for pitch. But it's basically a terrarium, and you've seen some of these circular terrariums at art shows, craft fairs, and he wants to put that terrarium on the body of a robot, which I think is really cute. Cute, fun idea. Get it all rusty looking and everything. So my goal now is to finish this model, and you can see I've laid out all the base proportions and figured out a bunch of things, and I think I might still have to change up a little bit, but basically I want to add the hands, made the feet a lot bigger, and maybe add some of this rust material all over the place so we can see what it's looking like. So I'm going to have this concept opened up to the side here, and that's this week's project, 3D printing ideas to reality. I'm going to get this model done, hopefully in the live stream, and going to get it printing, not on my Form 2 this time, because terrariums are about this big, and so Craig wants a bigger print, so it's going to be about, I don't know, about yay big of a robot body, which means, I don't know, that's about 12, maybe 15 inches. And if you're going for something that big, it's better to use a bigger printer. So I'm going to use my Raise 3D N2 Plus. That's this big FDM machine to my left. For you guys, right. And the good thing about printing in FDM for something big is that it's going to end up becoming cheaper anyway. Alright, so I'm going to save this as my ZBrush streaming. GrowBot, and let me call it GrowBot 2. All right. Give me a sec, just some maintenance stuff. Pardon me. Alright, I'm going to turn up the jazz for a second because I have to share this Twitch streaming link on my Instagram and Facebook. Let people know I am live streaming the mundanities. So give me 1 minute. All done with that. So let's get going on Craig's GrowBot here. We need to add the hands, need to make the feet bigger, all that jazz. So let's start with the feet. We're thinking no base, so that means the feet themselves need to be bigger. And I built this model just like I build most of my models these days, in simple primitive shapes that then get dynameshed and merged together or grouped together. Alright, so I know I'm going to change some proportions of this as I go, and I try to build this. Let me lower the jazz, it's a bit loud. Okay. So I try to build this stuff to scale as much as I can, and matching the concept as much as I can, but sometimes you've got to change it up. Let's see. So looking at the concept, this neck is pretty small. But just thinking about what he wants to do, having a terrarium as part of the head, you want to make sure that terrarium doesn't fall off or, stays on top of this thing. Which means the neck, in my opinion, needs to get a bit wider so that it provides better support. And this is the kind of thing you have to do for 3D printing. You have to think about not just the model and translating the 2D design in an appealing way to 3D. You have to think about engineering. So I'm going to go to my deformations tab. I'm just going to increase the size of this neck. Should be able to move it up a little bit as well. Let's see if that looks better or not. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just move this head down a bit. So basically just a big, thicker, wider neck in general. Alright, let's take a look at what else we've got. These pieces are all combined. This is kind of like a middle section, bevel. Got these rocket boosters in the back. I think those look good, but I might actually have some fun with those as well. Just a little bit more detail. So I basically duplicated them from there to there, and what I'm going to do now is tack on a little bit at the bottom. Just like that. I'm going to select my mask rectangle tool right there. Under my deformations tab, just do a little bit of deflating. That's just going to help that bevel and look a bit cleaner. Just tap it with smooth a few times. Maybe move this up just a tad. Cool. Just adding a little bit more detail on those rockets. Just to keep a clean house. Can't wait for layers in the new ZBrush. I'm just going to merge those pieces together so I have one subtool for the rocket pieces. Let's do the same for the body. And lower these pieces down to the bottom by just shift clicking on these layers. Click merge down, and now the body is in one group. Do the same with the arms, just to have a bit of a house cleaning. I like to move them to the bottom first before I do my merging, so I'm clear on where they are in the hierarchy. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so this looks good. I'm worrying though, once I add the hands, which I'm about to shortly, if this point of contact will be enough to keep the whole hands kind of afloat and support the weight of it all, I guess. So let's see, I might change it up. So selected the shoulder joint here, and I'm going to try to rotate it a bit so that it's in line with the body. Drop that mask selection, and that's just going to allow me to move all of these arms now in unison, and I can move them a bit closer so I can take up more of that space. Let's see if I should merge more than just the shoulder. Maybe merge a little bit of this arm body too. I don't know. I think this arm needs to shrink a bit. The shoulder, what do you call it? The bicep section. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to save again, just in case. Sometimes when you use the, what do you call them? Deformations, and I say inflate and deflate a bit, it just crashes. I'm going to give ZBrush a second to save and check out if you guys have any questions going on Twitch. We got Otsuka 009 saying loving the jazz. I'm glad you like it, man. Me too. Alright, so ZBrush should have saved now. And with just that yellow alpha piece selected, we can do a couple of different things. Let me just try to scale first and see what happens. We'll just select near the middle of the mesh, scale it down, and move it back out into place. And one fun thing I learned is if you just tap with your transpose, any of the move, scale, rotate selected without the gizmo on, just tap on some edge, it's going to turn that transpose bar in that direction of the normals of the face you clicked on. So if I just click at the bottom there, it's mostly flat, it should allow me to pull it, tug at the edge, and just make this arm a bit longer. I can move all of it in a bit. It's feeling right. Invert that mask. Add that shoulder selection to it. So now I'm just affecting the lower arms, the forearms, so to speak. And I like it, but it feels a bit too long. The biceps feel a bit too long now. Move this up. And right now I'm building this symmetrically, and then we'll change up the pose a little bit so he's a bit more fun. But to start, let's just work like this. Got to look at it from all angles. Switch to the clip curve. Once again, let me lower the jazz just a tad. Switch to the clip curve brush, and I'm going to now just clip this shoulder arm this direction, just so it's not so long. With symmetry on, it should have clipped from both ends. Tap smooth at the end. Alright. So it looks like I didn't add any of this detail to this elbow joint, but the elbow joint is going to be basically the same piece as the shoulder joint. Same with all of these guys. They all need that detail. So first thing I'll do then is just duplicate that shoulder joint and move it down. Replace this elbow joint. Looking a bit big anyway. So I'll select just that, and I will split it. So split unmasked points. I'll do the same thing for here. Split unmasked points. Hide those for a second. Duplicate the shoulder. I don't need to tap, even though I have only the shoulder selected. When I'm working with my transpose tools, I don't need to tap just the shoulder. I can tap anywhere on any part of the model. And so if I tap here on this lower arm, it'll align my normals to that direction I need it to move, and then I can just move it down. Should work. And always have to change it up a little bit. Scale it up a bit. Move it over. Let's see, maybe scale it a bit more. Hide those seams. This mesh is a bit dense and hard to work with, like 4.17 million almost. It's a lot. It's because I think each mesh itself is that dense, so that's a lot of heaviness. Alright, I'm gonna go and decimate some of these parts. Especially if I'm about to duplicate them a bunch of times. So I'll turn up the jazz again as I decimate some of these pieces, just so I can have a bit more of a manageable scene size and work. Got another question on Twitch, or a couple of comments. Dude TO saying, need an army of those printers in the back. Absolutely. I'd love to have more. I think I'll probably get at least another 1 or 2 this year. And Beyond is asking, what's that poster behind you? So that poster is my own IP, Fungusaurs, that I'm developing right now. And I'll share the comment thing. So Fungusaurs are little dinosaur mushroom hybrids, and right now I've kickstarted a mystery box toy line, and now I'm working on an augmented reality game to bring the toys to life. So if you're interested in following along, you can follow along on the Instagram. I talk a bit about mass production, I talk a bit about showing at different expos and events and stuff, and post weird mushroom photos and the toys in everywhere I go. So there's a bunch of stuff to see. Okay, what's out of that? Dude saying back tense too. I've got a bot to remind me to have good posture. It's probably a good idea to have a bot remind you to do that. I think I just need to either work out or go get a massage soon. Alright, almost done with the decimating. I've got the shoulder and the elbow joint finished, and then the body is about 3.5 million, which is a bit much, so I might decimate that down. And then I think that should be plenty. Don't really know how to have good posture all the time. Don't think it's possible for us 3D artists and anyone that really works on a computer all the time. It's hard to do this all the time, especially when we're working on top of a Cintiq or whatever else. Atsuka saying, dude, TO is our posture bot for reminding. Remember to stretch, everybody. Alright, I'm glad to see the Restream.io chat is working well. That's the platform I'm using to do this whole streaming and recording with ZBrush here. Restream.io. Alright, got a question. Oh, there's some YouTube comments here as well. I forget about YouTube often, but that's good to have that Restream reminder. Noob Gunner saying, what's your opinion for ZBrush RAM memory? I mean, I've got 32 gigs of RAM. That should really be enough, but sometimes it's not when you're working with really heavy meshes. That's why I'm taking the time to just decimate it, so I don't have to worry about it. Alright, Noob Gunner saying, can you make a face? Well, I did that last week, so I don't really want to make a face this week. Let me show you guys something cool. So if you go to Google and just type in ZBrush Live, you'll see presenters here. Click on that. And there's all these awesome ZBrush Live presenters, which I'm honored to be a proud part of. You scroll down here, you can see Aiman Akhtar, and you can check out my past broadcasts and schedules. So my schedule moving forward is going to be on here as well. I might change up my time to not be 8 a.m. on Monday mornings. I don't know when I'll make it, but some other time basically. Just to try it out for the next couple of months. But in any case, you can see all of my previous streams over here. So, was it Raj or Raju Maji? If you want to see some of my previous streams, you can go to there, pixelogic.com, ZBrush Live, Akhtar, Aiman Akhtar, just like I showed you. And you can see how I made a face in my last stream, the Punisher one. You can see how I made zombies in the stream before that, and the 6 or 7 streams before that, I basically worked the same project from start to finish. So you can see how I start from really basic primitive shapes all the way to a finished, posed, print-ready model, and yeah, even a Halloween mask and stuff. So there's 3 whole pages worth of these. I think originally I started making some fungusaurs as well. I'm going to get back to that this year, making some more fungusaurs on live stream. Making a Aquaman costume, kind of 3D printable costume, like a full large piece. So yeah, check that out there. Alright, that's now finished its pre-computing. That's decimated. So this is much more manageable now. Everything's like 200, 100 something thousand. Alright, so back to it then. Let's select some of these pieces. And you can drag from one piece onto another piece and hold shift, and it'll kind of double mask it, you know? That's a useful feature to know. Okay. Alright, I don't like what's happening here in ZBrush with the way this clipped. So what I'm going to do is hide that part and then delete hidden. So I can just use my select lasso, select the very end tip of that. So it just basically hides all of that extra clipped lip. And I'm going to go under my geometry, modify topology, and delete hidden. And now I can Dynamesh. Actually, that's a good idea to Dynamesh because that'll keep the resolution low. You may only want to do it for that bit though, so I'm gonna hide this. Split hidden. So you see, even if you're working on a really simple mesh, sometimes there's just, you know, you need to be on top of the way things are labeled, things are organized, and the resolution, just to give you a better, you know, workflow. Alright, cool. That in just a bit. Delete some of these unnecessary parts, keep my scene clean. Keep that stuff in mind as I figure out this robot's proportions here. Alright, I'm liking that a lot better. I don't like all of this stuff that's happening along the edge. I'm going to smooth that out or try to clip it. Or we're going to basically add our hand there now, so it's not too big a deal. We switch to this material, so everything looks like it's the same material. Alright, so I need these feet to be bigger so that they read well. Looks like they're on separate meshes right now. I guess I can just work on one side of the foot and then mirror it over. That's a good idea. And then just hide pieces of my mesh. Delete hidden. hidden. This way I can just work on the one foot and then mirror it over. Alright, so how do we make this foot bigger? Well, easy ways to scale, but the thing I have to keep in mind is I can't scale to the side of this line. So let's append a cube 3D in here. Move that down so we know. Let's make this kind of a divider line. And I'll scale from that angle. Make those feet a lot bigger. Got to make sure this holds up the weight of the character, especially with a giant terrarium bowl on its head. Don't want to overdo it either. And that divider line that I created for my own reference, can make sure that this is to the one side of there. That should work well. Now I can take the rest of my mesh and rotate it accordingly. And rotate back some of these other pieces. I don't know. I don't really like rotating them back like that. I think what would be better is if I just change the scale of some of these lower parts as well. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to. Let's try it. Let's try doing both. I see what I did there. I like to get both these parts as well. Merge them down onto one another, and then work them as a unit. Trying to find a good vertical angle for these parts. Then I'm going to try a new feature in ZBrush, or I guess now it's been a while. It is the Gizmo 3D, and if you go under the settings, there should be different deformers. So you can do a bend, you can do crease, stretch, skew, bevel, all sorts of things. What I'm looking for, let's see, I believe there's a lattice in here. Deformer soft, could be. Yep, there it is, deformer soft. I can kind of adjust these points and get to where I want it to be. Let's see. Wonder if there's a way to select multiple points and move them at the same time. I'm sure there is, just not straightforward. I'm not as familiar with working with these deformers. Looks like you can pin them or unpin them, so you can work on just the ones you want. Let me turn up the music as I figure it out. You guys are going to watch me figure out this deformer thing. Reduce the deformer points. The shift select to not affect the top. See if that works the way I think it does. And then just scale just the bottom. Yeah. Love it when a plan comes together. Now you've got me thinking about my posture, dude. Alright, that's looking good. Drop that selection. So basically scale that up. Alright. Select this piece then. Rotate it out a bit. Maybe scale it up a bit too. I don't want him to look so bow-legged, so I might try some other stuff. Which is to just simply scale the whole leg a bit larger. Yeah, breaks too many things when I scale it like that. Also want to be able to see more of this knee joint. Looking at the concept. I've duplicated that elbow joint. I'm going to move that down and rotate that into place. And also just move it in place. Scale it up a bit. Okay. I'm going to delete that part. Make sure that my new knees are live. Rotate a bit again. Just trying to find the best proportions and angle of those parts. Alright, what I'm realizing is I like the legs coming conically down like that, which means I just simply need to round out the body a bit more so that this chunk right here of the hips can be more out, line up better. How the concepting process often goes in 3D, is just figuring it out. Figuring it out by doing it. Alright, these arms are getting in my way now, so I'm going to hide those for a second. Pixel Desire is asking about masking. Yep, I am masking by just control clicking the parts that I want to mask or unmask and move. That's the benefit of using the transpose tools. That's pretty easy. Just trying to line it up so that that edge is even all the way across. You gotta look back as well. Oh. Alright, so that's looking pretty clean to me. Lining up and everything's looking right. Might rotate this whole thing just a tad. And then move this a little bit more. There it goes. Great. Alright, cool. Now let's work on the body. I think the best move here is to just make the body entirely a bit more rounded. Could also try to move it out a bit, just changing up the proportions slightly. I don't know, it changes quite a bit if I do that from the concept, so let's try scaling instead. A bit of my deformation tab, scale right from the center. Squish them a bit. Makes the body too round. Pixel Desire saying, what's the little guy gonna end up looking like? Let me show you the concept again. So this is Craig's GrowBot concept. Craig Cartwright's the artist. And I'm gonna have a terrarium for a head. So I'm just trying to figure out the proportions first and figure out how to make it standalone printable without a base and hold up the weight of like a heavy glass dome on the top. So once I figure out the proportions the way I like it, then I can move on to the next stage. Alright, so what I'm thinking is the best move here is to maintain that round hip joint, is to add another little joint there in the middle. So first things first, move this arm out a bit. So I'm going to add a new hip joint basically. Maybe make this whole robot a bit taller as well. Just a smidge. Can't wait for the new ZBrush with the grouping, personally. Because I have to right now merge a lot of pieces pretty often in order to get the proportion stuff done. Alright, so in the concept, this hip thing is completely clean because I guess it's a joint that go in any direction. But I think it makes more sense to keep the same visual language going of all these pieces we've already established. I'm going to split unmasked. And then delete that part. I'm going to select this thing, the knee joint, split unmasked there. Duplicate it. Nope, duplicated the wrong part. Right now this is just adding more confusion. Delete hidden there. Try a couple different things here. First, let's just try scaling it, changing the proportions quite a bit. Alright, So changing the proportions kind of gave me the thing I was looking for. And I'm thinking that looks like a pretty good complete unit right now. Alright, looking at the concept, this area's got to be a bit more stylized. So I'm going to go over it with my H polish tool. Just find the crease. You can even turn on lazy radius for lazy mouse. If you want to be a bit more clean about it. In fact, the best way I think to do this, if I undo, would be to just select it. And do a bit of a taper. Let's see. Just using inflate to do that taper, and then hitting it with the H polish. So me personally, even when I work on mechanical parts, I always try to do a little bit of sculpting by hand. So that's the fun part of ZBrush for me, the sculpting part. Okay. Getting that edge nice and clean and creased up. Drop in that mask selection. Turning everything back on. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. And maybe clip the bottom so that's completely flat. Clip the top as well. Oh, had to hide everything before I clipped that. That was dumb. It's the kind of thing that crashes ZBrush sometimes. No, made it. That's good. I'm gonna hide everything else before I do the clipping. If you hold space, you can actually move this clip around once you've drawn it out. Just want to clip the top so that it's completely even all the way across. Turn that back on. Alright, digging it. Switch to my drag rectangle tool. Maybe one of these alphas, to try to add a little bit of detail along the side. I want to make sure this part has a unified group and a bit more geometry before I can add the detail that I want. So the split hidden. Select this, divide it again. Now I should be able to add it. Try to find that center. It can be a bit hard sometimes. There we go. Same on the other side. I think I made the one side much bigger than the other. There. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so now I'm going to merge all these parts down. And mirror it over to the other end. So I'm going to go to ZPlugin, Subtool Master, Mirror, and it should mirror it over to the other end. Now, it's a bit high poly, so I'm going to do another decimate on this piece, and then I'll mirror it over. So I'll go to Decimation Master, Preprocess Current. Alright, got a few more questions. Let's see here. Zofo264 is saying, which company did you use to print your minifigure collection? So I printed it myself on my Form 2 here, and I prototyped it, and I just created multiple iterations of the same prints in order to figure out the best best way for mass manufacturing. You know, you have to figure out the balance, you have to figure out, you know, some of the models need to be sliced, the head separated, so I had to figure a bunch of those things out, and then I printed it here myself. So Deed Bagila is saying how to learn basic ZBrush. Honestly, just practice. You can check out, there's a lot of tutorials in the Z Classroom, so check those out. But then it's just gotta get into the software and practice. Zofo saying, can we see one of those prints that I did the prototyping of? That's a good question. Let me see if I can show you something. Alright, that's now done with its pre-processing, so I'll set it to 10% and decimate. This is made at about 300,000 polys. It's looking good. And I'll go to my Z plugin now, Subtool Master, and click Mirror over the X-axis. So now I've got the other side. Now I can bring it a bit closer, merge both of these parts together, then turn on symmetry. Just about there. I want to leave a bit of a gap. Now I should be able to select just that top part and scale it down just a tad. Alright, so Pixel Desire is asking a question, are you decimating for print? Not yet, actually. This is just decimating so I can have a clean work environment. I'm going to decimate for print soon, though, after I Dynamesh everything together. Right now, I'm not really sure how to decimate and I guess set this up for print yet, because I'm not sure how tall it's going to be just yet. So I usually let the scale decide how I'm going to split the part. In this case, I think I'll just print the legs on their own, I'll print the arms on their own, the body on its own, and then just assemble them together. But I'll figure that out after I'm done with the model. Alright, so that's all looking cute and good. I'm gonna work on the hands now. Let me save first. And to answer Zofo's question, or can we see one of those prints, I can show you what my prints look like. Okay, need to find them. Got lots and lots of photos here. Alright, cool. So here's a quick primer on how I did my Fungosaurs, my own IP. So if you guys are interested in building your own IP, this is how to do it. First you sketch an idea. This one's simple, dinosaur mushroom hybrid. So I just combined two things that I was interested in, and came up with a bunch of drawings. Next step is to sculpt them. So this is the first series. So this is the 8 characters that I sculpted all in ZBrush, and changed a few things here and there, like these two have pretty small eyes. So later when I made the final prototypes, I did make those eyes bigger, made some of these arms thicker and rounder and cuter. But once I had the final characters, there's the 8 characters in the first mystery box toy series. I 3D print prototyped them. Let me lower the jazz volume a bit. Alright, so I 3D print prototyped them on a Form 2, that's the stereolithography resin printer. And the great thing about that printer is, and this printer, is that it's just really high resolution. So you can actually see what the final toy is going to look like, and that was really important to me. And that's basically how you set it up in preform, orient it, and add supports, and print it out. And the first time I showed these at an expo, I basically printed out all of them. So I printed out like 50 prints, spent like 2-3 days just cleaning all the prints on my porch patio. And it was just a lot of sanding and X-Acto knifing and modeling clippers and cleaning the prints with my Lay's potato chips and some tea. And once I was done with all of those, and I spray primed them, and you know, they're painted, and there's the finished versions. So I had those 8 that were painted by my friend Elvin here. He's a great painter. Used them for a bunch of projects. So those are the finished painted versions, and then there's all the unpainted versions. So first I got a table at this expo called DesignerCon, and then just tried to sell unpainted versions for like 30 bucks each, just like resin kits, and see if people liked them, if people would get them just as they were. And we nearly sold out of almost, you know, all of them. So there was a clear desire to have them, and people liked the characters, and they were even willing to paint them themselves. So that showed me, okay, this is worth pursuing as a mass manufactured toy line, because everyone kept saying they wanted the painted ones. So that's what I figured out then. Then I went into mass manufacturing, and I figured out how to get them painted and then mass produced as toys. I think I've got some photos of the mass produced toys if you guys are interested. Let's see. Let me show you a little bit of that. So I found a factory in China that specializes in making dinosaurs. So let's let this image load up fully. Come on. Why is it giving so much trouble? Just a freaking photo. Weird, it's just super rastered for some reason. Anyway, so this is the factory in China that's working on my toys. Really well ventilated, all up to safety standards, no child labor, anything like that. I made a visit down to their Shantou province just to make sure everything was looking great. And this factory makes thousands of dinosaur toys, so I knew they'd be perfect for me. After the tooling was complete and they had finished making the plastic toys, then they go to the painting process. So they're spray painted first and then hand painted, and then they look like a bunch of mushrooms sitting in a big basket. And then they get the packages assembled. Toys are packed, and then this is the kind of finished product. That's my friend Mike that I went with, and a whole bunch of people that helped me make this happen. So it's not like I did it all alone. You have to, you know, go for help when you need it. And there's the finished vinyl toys in the packaging. So now that I've got 15,000 of these in my storage unit, it's a matter of finding distributors and marketing and growing, building the brand IP, and then getting it in stores nationwide and then hopefully internationally soon. So that's kind of the process, really, for those of you interested. 3D print, literally from idea to reality, and then mass produced. So I'm pretty proud of how all of that's gone so far. Let me go back to the Restream chat. Zofo saying, oh, I thought the printer did the colored figures. Nope. I've done some color printing. There's the Mimaki printer that does color printing. There's the J750. Shapeways can do some color printing. But right now, most color printing is pretty still powdery or dotty. It doesn't look great. So hand painting's the way to go for mass stuff. Dude saying, do to, I don't know how to say your name. That must be so nice to see your product art become this. Yeah, it was really surreal to go to a factory and see 30 plus people working on my own thing, you know, something that I sculpted in ZBrush, and then so many people are working on it to make it a reality. So that was really cool. All right, back to this project right now. And let's also check up on the Punisher print. How long do we have left? All right, looks like that print's done in 3 minutes, so that's kind of cool. All right, so I want to try to wrap up this character, and it's not far to go. We've got all the proportions figured out. We got the leg scales, so now basically just have to finish the hands. And look at this rocket. Okay, so this rocket isn't closed. We need to make sure all of that is closed. So I'm going to just simply go to geometry and dynamesh all these pieces together, and that should close the hole in theory. Let's test it. Alright, so that did it. Closes the hole, but this is still pretty low resolution. So I'm going to divide all of it once, delete lower, and dynamesh at a higher resolution, project off. Yeah, and that's looking pretty clean. Just tap it all with a smooth brush. Dynamesh again. Now this rocket, I think, honestly, it doesn't need to be two separate pieces. They could be merged together. So I'm going to bring them together and dynamesh again. That's just going to seam them. So it's all just kind of one mesh. Now I want to make sure it's not intersecting with the butt or any of these pieces. I'm going to move it out a bit. And it'll be interesting. We should figure out how these rockets will fit onto the body. Likely what I'll do is I'll have a space cut out for it. Or you know what, I may go the other way and then just bring it all in and have it kind of merged into the body, so I can print them together with the body. It's not a bad direction to go. That's one less part to print and keep. All right. I want to make sure I've got a good amount of space here. It's looking right. The gaps. Okay, that's looking right. Alright, so digging all of that. I'm going to merge the neck into the body. I think that makes the most sense. And now let's work on these hands. Save again. Alright, so let me show you guys the concept again of what we're shooting for. Thought I had that open. Where'd it go? Strange. Okay, I'm gonna open it again. And go to my downloads, GrowBots. Alright, so this is the concept that we're shooting for. Made the neck a little bit wider. You know, I might actually try to create that seam a bit better there as well between the neck. I'm gonna add some of these buttons and gonna add the hands, and then we've got a pretty much completed model. And then we might add some of this rust using surface noise. So I think we've got time to do all of those three things in about a half an hour. But I also want to show you guys the Punisher print as it comes out. So we might take a break from this in a few minutes, and I might wrap it up on my own. But let's make these hands. So these are pretty simple shapes. Looks like there's three spheres that are cut and kind of merged into each other, and then there's the fingers sticking out of those. So I'm going to keep this concept open to the right, and let's see. Dude saying another question. How have you started streaming for Pixelogic? Did you used to stream before and then you contacted them? No, actually, Pixelogic guys contacted me. I've been in LA and I've been around, and they've met me several times, and so they know the kind of work I do. They've seen me do a lot of 3D printing projects, so they thought it would be a good fit to have me streaming for them, which I agree. And so far, I'm new to the streaming thing. I've done about 30 streams only with Pixelogic. I haven't really done streaming on my own yet, and I like it. It's a new experience. All right, so I think the best way to do this is to build it in place. So I'm going to start by just going to Aiman Primitives brush and make sure I have the right one selected. Yep. And I'm going to insert a sphere right there. Can adjust the depth to make sure that goes deeper a bit. Move that out. And I'm going to go with my clip brush, or first things first, I'll split it. So split on mask points. And I'll go to geometry divide a few times just so it's a bit cleaner. Switch to my clip brush, Control Shift, and then clip curve. And now I should be able to, in the Z axis, clip this. It's close, but a bit more. Do something like that, because that looks like the base shape for this arm or this hand thing that we've got going. What makes sense to me also is like an actual hand if it were a bit more crunched. Alright, so we're going to take that and I'm going to duplicate it. Move it out a bit. And scale it down a bit too. Make sure that that is kind of central. Duplicate it again. And I really like this workflow of just building with simple base shapes whenever possible. And let's see, I don't really have a good reference for the back side of it, so I just have to invent it. And I think it'll be better if this was not so sharp cut. We'll just smooth it out. Just smoothing, smooth, smooth, smooth. Smooth all that as well. Okay, where'd it go? There it is. Alright, so I'm going to only work on one side at a time and then mirror it over. I'm going to merge some of these pieces down. Delete hidden. Alright, Let's go with another insert primitive sphere. Draw that on. I'm going to do a bit of pinching. I'm going to pinch all of this area and create a thumb. Now the problem with working with spheres often is they still have a lot of geometry kind of built into them. So I'm going to split unmasked points and dynamesh it so I don't have to deal with that weird smoothing. Okay, so I can just focus on the shape and the form, then come back to any other stuff, like details. Okay, turn the jazz up a little bit. G. Roland is saying, is this going to be articulated? You know, it could be. I hadn't even thought about that. I was going to make it as a solid sculpt, but it is really a blocky piece, so it could be articulated. I think for the sake of what Craig wants, it doesn't need to be articulated. So that's what I'm going to let be the driving factor. Alright, so there's the thumb. And he's got 3 fingers basically. So I'm going to select this middle section, shrink that down a bit so that each of the sections is pretty even. Alright. I'm going to rotate this thumb so it actually feels like a thumb. Let's rotate out a bit. Down a bit too. And what makes sense to me is to just duplicate that thumb to create the fingers. Rotate it down, move it in place. Sculpt him up a bit. Strange. Okay. Back at it. I'm going to make these fingers obviously just a little less inflated than the thumb. I do like the round look of them though. Inflate them a bit. And let's duplicate that finger. Move it down. Duplicate it again, move it down again. And then move them a bit, rotate them a bit, so they feel like they're individual fingers. Merge all 3 together. application overall. That feels more hand-like to me. And it looks like Craig's concept. Try something also. Moving the inside of the hand, just flatter a bit. So it feels like a palm of a hand and this robot could actually grab something. Alright, so feels like these need a little bit of detail, simply like a crease line along the side of the finger or thumb, and then after that this will be ready to go. Or ready to be duplicated over to the other side. Alright, so I'm going to start by first merging pieces, the ideal placement for the hand, like there or so. Split these pieces off and kind of just work them individually. Alright, so first with the thumb. You can see it's about 6,000 polys. All of the stuff is pretty low res. I'm going to need to divide it or Dynamesh it at a higher resolution or both. So let's do 1,000 resolution and see what that gives us. It gives us about 83,000 polys, which may or may not be enough. Let's try 1,500. 189,000. Yeah, I think that should be good. Alright, so let's Dynamesh all of them at 1500 res. Alright, so then you select it from the side, or look at it from the side. That is the side, yep. I want to create a bit of a scene. The easiest way to do is to select my mask lasso and just come and draw it out. So I want to make sure it looks good from multiple angles. Nice and wide so it'll read when I 3D print it. And go to deformations and just deflate a bit. And Dynamesh again. And then I can adjust the shape, sculpting it. And go with my pinch brush. Pinch that seam a bit closer together. At least where it matters. Let's take a look. Yeah. smooth that out. Pitch it again. Just sculpt it till it feels right to me. Alright. That feels right. So basically going to do the same treatment on these other 3 fingers, and then the fingers will be done. The hand will be done. After that, I think I need to figure out the best pose, slightly asymmetrical, add the buttons, and then print it. I don't know if I really have time to do all of that in this stream, but hopefully next time you guys join my stream, which I don't know, I might change up the timing of it, but next time you guys join the stream, I should be able to show you the finished model, just like with the Punisher at the start of this stream. So I'll show you the finished model, and then I'll show you the print, or whatever pieces I have printed by next week. So I think I'm going to take a pause on this because the Punisher print is done. So let's open up the stream app. I'm going to scale this window up, hide ZBrush for a second. And I'm going to take my headphones off and all that, but I'm going to go over to my printer and you guys can watch how I extract a print out, basically clean it up really quickly. So, yeah. Make the jazz too loud for you. Okay. Alright, so there's the Punisher print, and I'm going to take it off of the build platform now. Formlabs printers, they come with this little handy tool that you can just slide in and extract the print from the print tray. Something like this. You basically just jam it under and then lever up until the print pops off. So give me a second. Okay, so there's the print, popped off from the build platform. And why I wanted to do this, let's see if I can find a flashlight so I can show you the cool part. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to do a little isopropyl dip with this, so I'm going to dip it inside of an isopropyl tank. That's this isopropyl tank right here. There's the print. Just dipping it in there a few times. while that soaks, I'm going to bring some stuff. So I got some paper towels. I'm going to wipe this tray. I'm going to clean the tray so I can put it back in the printer. And I see there's a few little pieces on there still. I'm going to use something like this, a spatula, to just scrape that off. Done. I'm going to wipe this again. And put it back in the printer. I'm taking the print out now. I'm going to break some of the supports off too. Should come off pretty easily. Wiping it down. Let's see if it worked as I expected. Alright, so I've got the print here. We've got a flashlight here now. Now let's see what it looks like if I flash the light through it. You could find the right angle for this lighting, but we should be able to see the skeleton on the inside. I guess it's hard for you guys to see, but I can see from here pretty clearly that there's a skeleton on the inside of it. A pretty interesting way of doing a print. printing in clear and then seeing the anatomy inside. Try to bring it a bit closer to you so you can see it there. So not bad for first test. I think there's a few things that changed the second time around. Yeah, there's that. Okay. Put these back in. Alright, so another question, good question from Sorry Duck. Is there a possibility you can print the skeleton in another color? So that's a great idea. I think the best way for me to be able to show you guys what's happening on the inside of this model is by actually going and filling the inside with a different color. So I think I'm going to do that next. I'm going to find a way to pour some kind of blue or red dye on the inside, and that way the inside is going to be a different color than the outside, and that I think you guys will be able to see. So I don't have any of that on me right now, but I'm going to clean up this print, let it soak in isopropyl again, UV cure it, and then I'll do that dyeing technique on the inside, and then hopefully we'll have a glowing skeleton on the inside through the clear print. So yeah, something to look forward to next time. I mean, this is really the point of having a 3D printer and just having your ideas come to reality, is just to experiment with them. So thanks for the idea, Sorry Duck. I'm going to try it out, and we'll see how it goes next time. All right, so thanks for joining my stream today, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed watching me make a little robot, and we'll try to finish that up next week. So this character, I'll have it done and printed hopefully by then, or part of it printed. So I'll show you those pieces, and then we'll start up on a new project. So I'm going to be talking to the Pixelogic guys about switching up my time from Monday to or not 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., just a different time. So let's see what time slots are available, and then I'll see you guys next time. So thanks for joining, and hope you guys have a good rest of your week. All right. You guys have a good one. Cheers.